أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Alhamdulillah, all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have started now a series of lecture about Majalis after the events of Karbala, as we continue with the tragedy, what happened after Karbala, the 10th and 20th and 30th and 40th. So I knew very well that we were commemorating today the 10th of the Shuhada of Karbala. But I deliberately decided to make a PowerPoint presentation because I want to make a very important point, that the difference of this ayat, which is very important ayat, which how different translators have translated, and in the process they have lost the most important aspect, and that is the love of Ahlul Bayt. So inshallah you'll see how we demonstrate the thing, and it is very much what of course relevant to our discussion today with Majlis also. The ayat of Quran which all of us know by heart, in fact often the scholars recite, is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِنَّ الْمُوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Right? This ayat actually is just a section within a complete ayat which has been posted there. Right? ذَلِكَ الَّذِينَ يُبَشِّرُ اللَّهُ عِبَادَهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمُوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى وَمَنْ اللهم صل على محمد ومن يقترف حسنة تزد له فيها حسنا إن الله غفور رحيم وغفور شكور. The ayat قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى is an ayat which has been discussed often by scholars. But today what we are going to discuss is, you'll see how this ayat has been translated by different scholars. And this was the ayat also quoted by the fourth Imam in Sham. So we'll try to connect with that also. But that ayat, what it means also we know because it comes again. Kul. Whenever we find in the Quran the word kul, that means Allah is commanding Rasulullah to talk to people. The word kul appears in Quran a number of times. There are 5 surahs which begin with kul, right? The 4 surahs with no, and also Surah al-Jinn. There are 5 surahs that begin with kul, but the word kul appears in Quran almost 200 times. Kul la asalukum alayhi ajran. People came to the Prophet, especially Ansar, right? Ansar came to the Prophet and said that we will go to the noble Prophet and we tell him if he has financial needs, our property will unconditionally be at your disposal. They went to the Prophet and said that no, if you have any kind of need, our properties will be at your disposal. Subhanallah, they offer Prophet all kind of help, including financial help. And Prophet recites this ayat and then says, love my relatives after my demise, right? So he says, and why did they offer this thing? Because they realized that when Prophet came to Medina, he made such a huge difference. That was the place whereby they used to fight, especially there were 2 big tribes, Aus and Khazraj. Always they used to fight, animosity. Prophet was able to combine them, unite them, and unite the Muslims and also Arabs in Medina. Not only Muslims, all of them in fact. The people of Medina, they united. So they said we should try to recompensate, we should try to reward, we should give something to the Prophet. And then of course Prophet waited for this verse, and Allah said, Kul la asalukum alayhi ajran. I did not ask anything for that. Illa al-Mawaddah fi al-Qurba, except that you do Mawaddah, affection, love for the Qurba. Right? Now of course the question is, who is Qurba? You will see that we'll be discussing. But before that, what does this ayat say? In the translation and commentary which we have, unfortunately, the commentary Quran Tafsir in English are only 2, right? One is by Marhum S.M. Rahmadli and Agha to combine, which of course came out about in 1960s, so you're talking 50 years ago. And then another translation which has been translated from Farsi into English, known as Enlightening Commentary into the Light of Quran, which appears online at alislam.org and also in print. You can get in 20 or 25 20 volumes in blue books. So we are quite behind. But in any case, in this tafsir, they said this verse commands the Muslims to love the Ahlul Bayt. if they want to repay the Holy Prophet for his toils of prophethood, so that they should follow the Ahlul Bayt in word and deed. Why? Because Muhammad Ali says, because Ahlul Bayt have been thoroughly purified by Allah, as we know, Ayat al-Tahir. Ahlul Bayt are the truthful. Ahlul Bayt are the custodians of the word of Allah. They are the custodians because Quran was revealed in their house, so they are the custodians. You want to know the meaning of any ayat, go to Ahlul Bayt, right? Ahlul Bayt alone know the true interpretation of the guidance sent for all mankind. You should know one thing, whenever it comes to tafsir of any ayat, for us, the best mufassir are Ahlul Bayt. If there is a hadith from Ahlul Bayt, that is the correct. Only after that, for example, the scholars try to find other means of understanding. So, Ahlul Bayt are the mufassir. They are the one who interpret what the Quran, right? And because of that, of course, we should follow them in word and deed, right? This ayat commands us to do that. Now, who are the Qurba? Ibn Hajar in Sawaik, the book is al-Muwaddah. I don't know if you know about this thing. I'm sure a number of scholars have mentioned about this book. This book was written against the Shias. Actually, the book's name is al-Muwaddah. That means a lightning which is going to burn. You know, sometimes the lightning comes which does not burn. For example, it will just come and go away, right? But sometimes the lightning comes so powerfully that some of the houses, the herds, for example, they get burnt, right? So he wrote a book with the intention to just quieten the Shias and make them, speechless. They could not defend themselves. So al-Muwaddah, a lightning which will burn, right? Even there, when he came, he writes this book. Of course, our scholars have answered that book also. But when he comes to the Ahlul Bayt, he could not find any kind of flaw in Ahlul Bayt. This is the beauty. When it comes to Ahlul Bayt, he found that as far as the lives are concerned, they were infallible and they were great, right? So in the same book, he also mentions, and Ibn Sa'd in Tabakat al-Kabir, he mentions the account of Umar ibn Khattab have accepted that the near relatives of the Holy Prophet are the Ahlul Bayt. That means al-Qurba mentioned in this are the Ahlul Bayt. The same opinion is found in Tafsir al-Kashaf, Sahih Muslim, Musnad ibn Hanbal, and Tafsir Durr al-Mansur. We are going to take a hadith from the Tafsir Durr al-Mansur later on, you'll see. This is Muhammad Ali says in Tafsir. In the second commentary which is found online, as I said, these are only two tafsir in English as far as the Shia tafsir are concerned. Only two that I know. And Latin commentary also has a few passages on this. I've just taken only one paragraph. Can the verse mean that you have your relatives as the reward of the Prophet? Because you'll see how others are translated. They say Qurba means just be kind to your own relatives. For example, be kind to your father, be kind to your mother, be kind to your brother, be kind to your nephew, right? That's what they say. No? So they say, can the verse mean that you have your relatives as the reward of the prophethood? Take care of your blood relatives. Can this mean? This interpretation is quite inconsistent with the prophetic call and its reward. Since loving one's relatives has nothing to do with assisting the prophet, right? Because, for example, prophet tried to combine the Muslims or the Quraysh or the Arabs in Medina. How can if I love my son, how would that help the prophet? Right? It doesn't make sense. So they say, our scholars say, this is inconsistent with the prophetic call, right? And how do it may not be regarded as the reward of imparting the prophetic call, right? So we don't agree with that kind of thing. Now let us look at this. You'll be surprised. Now Agapuya says, who are not al-Qurba? This is also important because as we come to different translations of this ayat by Ahl Sunnah, you'll see different translations. But before that, Agapuya clearly mentions, in the same tafsir, which I think every Shia house should have it, tafsir of Amir Ahmad in Agapuya, he says there is not a single tradition, not a single hadith of the Holy Prophet that Qurba refers to the relatives of the Quraysh, or the relationship of the Holy Prophet with the Quraysh, or the relatives of the believers as concocted by the anti-Ahlul Bayt commentators. So you see, he says there is not a single hadith. He says Qurba means relatives of the Quraysh, number one. Number two, it doesn't mean that relationship of the Holy Prophet with the Quraysh, right? Nor does it mean that relatives of the believers. That means you are my, for example, relative, I'm your relative. It doesn't mean this thing because that is how they were taken. He says these are just things which are concocted by people who are anti-Ahlul Bayt. Instead of arham, the blood relatives, Qurba, nearness, has been used to show that not only relationship but also nearness in character and accomplishment is taken into consideration as the important quality. So what Agapuya is saying that when we say the relatives, it's not only relatives in blood, no, because Allah would have used the word arham, but Allah used the Qurba. Why? Because it is close relatives. That means those who are not only near in blood, but nearness in character, in akhlaq, and in accomplishment, right, is taken into consideration, is the most important quality. So keep this in mind, that this is why the word Qurba is there, not Arham, right? This is what Agha says, a great scholar. By the way, Agha, as far as concerned, was a great commentator, Marhum Allama Rashid Turabi, all of you know. When we were young, I remember when I was very young, subhanallah, you know, we would always wait. We have Brother Zuhair here coming off from Tanga. I remember that, no, on the 10th of Ashura, you know, we will go for majlis in Kabristan there in Tanga, and then after that, we would just be waiting to listen to live, you know, his majlis being relayed from Pakistan, no, Shami Ghariba majlis. I remember very well, right? Even Allama Rashid Turabi, Marhum, used to refer to Agha whenever he had some kind of questions regarding tafsir of Quran. So that was his authority, you can imagine. Allama Rashid Turabi would go to Agha. So that was his comment. So keep in mind that that whom we are talking about. Now see the translation of this particular phrase by different translators. Now mind you, Quran has been translated to English 70 times. 70 times Quran into English, a complete translation. 140 people have tried to translate it, but 70 were completed it, right? So there are many translations. I've just taken examples of only 4 or 5 from the Sunni brethren just to show you, right? Because this is a lip test, right? This is a test, for example, if you pick up a translation, only this year, this month, this 12 days when I was reciting Majlis in Saskatoon, somebody texted me from UK that we have received a translation we would like to distribute and sell in our center. What should we do? Then they send me the cover page of that by WhatsApp, and I said, I've not seen it. I don't have it in my collection. I've not seen it. He said, oh, what can you do? I just told them, look at some of the verses. One of them was this verse. Look at this verse. Just look at the rest of this verse. This will give you an idea that should we, for example, keep this translation for sale in Imam or not, right? If you keep it in the library, it's a different thing. But when you sell to Mu'mineen in the Husayniyah, we should be careful what we are selling, right? So you can see what they translate this ayat, right? M.S. Abdul Halim, this is a recent translator. He is from Oxford University, very popular, for example, nowadays in the universities, his translation being used. He said, say, Prophet, I ask no reward from you for this, only the affection due to kin. Do you see? Only the affection due to kin. He is deliberately, for example, kept a little vague, you see. Affection due to kin, that means whatever is due to your brother, due to your, for example, sister, due to your nephew, whatever is affection, keep that in mind. No? That is, for example, they are saying, this is the ajr of Nubuwah. T.B. Irving is the first American translator, right? He says, say, I do not ask you any payment for this except affection towards your relatives. Where did you get the word your? It's not even there. You can see, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. You know, where did you get the word your? And then when he says your, he doesn't even put that your into bracket to say that he has added it. But you can see, he says that if you are good to your relatives, you are giving no ajr to the Prophet's nabuwah, no Prophet's toiling. You know. Dr. Mustafa Khattab, he is the Imam here in Mississauga. He has translated the Quran, the clear Quran. Those of you who attended our lectures 2 years ago when we had exhibition of Quran, the Quran translations at JCC Ramadan, he was one of the invited people. So he has a translation. He says, O Prophet, I do not ask for reward for this message, only honor for our kinship. No, for our kinship. That means, since you are Quraysh, I'm Quraysh, so try to honor that. No, that try to consider that at least I'm one of you, I'm one of the Quraysh, so try to keep that. No, that is translation. But he also has a footnote, I'll come to it later on. Sayyid Hussain Nasr, of course, he's a Shia. Why I put him in the Sunni is not because he's not a Sunni, but the work, he's just editor. There's a work which is known as Study Quran. Many of you might have seen, we'll come to it again. No? So many of the people who are working on that were Sunni, right? And the whole work is actually Sunni based, but there are some Shia courses also there. In it is translated, say, I ask not of you any reward for it, save affection among kinsfolk. That means, no, among the kinsfolk, among the relatives, there should be affection. That means I should not only be kind, I should not, for example, take care of my brother or my nephew, but there should be affection between myself and my brother, affection between myself and my uncle, affection between myself and my parents. So this is what they're trying to translate, right? Pickthall is one of the first translators, right? Pickthall is, he was a Christian bishop, son of a Christian bishop, who was given the work of translating Quran into English in 1930s. And he became Muslim while translating the Quran, right? He says, Say, O Muhammad, unto mankind, I ask you of no fee, therefore, save loving kindness among kinsfolk. Again, something similar, right? There should be just loving kindness amongst kinsfolk. This is how they translate. Yusuf Ali, which is the most popular translation, which is found in many of the Shia houses, right? He says, say, no reward do I ask of you for this except the love of those near of kin, right? Now, some of these translations also have a footnote. So look at this footnote. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Abdul Halim says, or I only do this out of affection for you as a kin. In other words, just trying to say that Prophet is trying to say that I toil for prophethood only out of affection as a kin, which doesn't make sense, but that's how he translates. And his translation has been printed by Oxford University. It's considered just now as a masterpiece, right? Khattab, Dr. Mustafa Khattab, I told you that he just is Imam in the mosque in Mississauga. He has a good note. In fact, he's the only one who's the nearest, right? Note number 991, he says, this could also be a call to all believers to love and respect the immediate family of the Prophet. So this is the nearest I could find among the Sunni that, for example, in a footnote, he says that this could also mean the Ahlul Bayt, the relatives of the Prophet, right? Otherwise, do not. Yusuf Ali, you can imagine. You see, such a popular translation and commentary all of us have, really disappointed. He says that his kith and kin should not persecute him and put all sorts of obstacles in his way, as did the Quraysh against the Holy Prophet. Quraysh persecuted the Prophet, right? Quraysh came in the way of the Prophet, Tabligh, right? So he's trying to say this ayat came to just tell the people of Quraysh that do not, for example, bring any kind of obstacles. And then he continues, actually the note, he says, let us extend this ayat, the meaning of this, by bringing, for example, love and affection between humanity. Subhanallah, he can talk about the relation of Quraysh with the Prophet. He can talk about love and affection of the humanity, but he cannot talk about the love and affection for the Ahlul Bayt, you can imagine, which shows the real meaning of that, right? So this is why one of the main reasons that I brought these slides is you can see if I were to give this lecture just from the mimbar, many of these things will be lost. But now you can read, right? It is said that something is read and listen, the comprehension is better by reading. So please try to read this thing, and that's why I thought that you can see yourself as a witness, because I'm making a point that see how they try to translate and why. Because I'll tell you that I am a member of a WhatsApp group of imams, local imams here. So last year I posted that the imams are welcome to attend our programs at Jaffrey Center, and I told the mukhi there that there's a certain day they will be coming. So just welcome them and make sure that you invite them. And immediately there was a criticism by the imams within themselves. Said, why should we go to Shias and all those things? And they started saying things. So then other imams had to tell them that at least they are trying to mourn the family of the Prophet. At least have that respect, right? So they themselves try to control themselves. But I was wondering that if an imam of a masjid lacks the love for Ahlul Bayt, if the imam of the masjid does not realize that what we are doing, what about the layman, right? Do you see this thing? If the imam does not realize, so you can see where the problem comes from, because you can see all the translation, right? Now look at this, the study Quran. This summarizes the study Quran. By the way, those of you, I know many of you have bought it, because when Brother Khalil Jafar was teaching, I don't know if he's still teaching, classes on Sunday or Saturday in madrasa, some of the parents had classes with him, Quran. So they were going through this book. They had ordered this book, I remember. So what they've done, Sayyid Hussain Nasr and few people, his editor, few of them, they were taken tafasir about, I'm forgetting just now, I counted the number, but maybe almost 20 or 22 tafasir they've gone through, the Sunni and 7 Shia tafasir they've combined, and tried to just select few things, and they've translated this thing. So this is how they summarize. This is Ibn Abbas said. Now it doesn't say this hadith. Keep this in mind, because remember what Agapuya said. Agapuya said there's not a single hadith which says that Qurba means the Quraysh, Qurba means the relatives of yourself, Qurba means that the kingsfolk. No, there's not a single hadith. But see what they say. Ibn Abbas said there was not a single house that is a sub-tribe of the Quraysh, but that it had a kinship with the Prophet. So 42:23 was revealed in this regard, and its interpretation is, O Quraysh, you should keep good relation between me and you. Now, this IKT, all these are just what Mufassirin, which they've quoted. You don't have to bother just now, no. So you can see this is how they've taken. Whether Ibn Abbas has said or not, but it's not a hadith to start with. You should know this. Others say that the call of affection among kinsfolk is an appeal to follow Prophet's skin, right? They've given all this. No, the last two is the QM means Kummi, TS means Tabarsi, right? Specifically, his cousin and son-in-law Ali ibn Abi Talib, and his daughter Fatima and their descendants. So you can see very clearly, even they mention that others say, and not only we can see AJ, these are some of the Sunni commentators, right? Though Tabari argues that it would need a phrase affection for kinsfolk, Muwaddah al-Qurba, for this meaning to obtain. Ibn Ajiba, who is a Mufassir, says, however, maintains that the manner in which it is phrased provides a more emphatic injunctions to love the Prophet's kinsfolk. In other words, what he's trying to say, that what we believe, that here al-Qurba refers to Ahlul Bayt, the Prophet's kinsfolk, right? But this is just a summary of how they have tried to understand this thing, right? Now let us look at Shia Muslim translators. I hope all of you know the names of the Muslim Shia translators of the Quran, right? There are 5 only translators of Shia. The first one, and no, this is not in order, this is just in order of about alphabetical order. Ali Kuli Karai, which is the latest translation. I hope that all of you have in your home, Ali Kuli Karai. We have got Mir Ahmad Ali, which I talked earlier, which was done in the 1960s. We have Tahira Safarzadeh, which is a Iranian lady from Iran. I don't remember when it was done, but I think when I was there, it was not really so. Maybe about 10, 12 years ago, this was done. This is there in my library, Tahira Safarzadeh. Then we got Muhammad Sarwar, Shaykh Muhammad Sarwar, which is from New York. This was done almost many years ago, maybe almost in 80s or late 70s. And Sayyidina Rizvi, Maulana Rizvi, has completed, but is not printed. He's just working to print. So these are the 5 Shia translators of the Quran, right? See what they say. And I want you to just tell me what is the common thing in all these 5 translations. Just read the translation. Tell me one thing which is common in all of them. The word my. Do you see this thing? All of them put the word my, relatives, my, right? And they are also careful, although they put my, but they are also honest in saying that my is not there in the original Arabic. Ma is there based on the understanding and also based on hadith received. Keep in mind, you see. But every translator, from different background, you can see, right? One is, for example, Sayyid Ali Kuri Karai, he's originally from Hyderabad, right? Mir Ahmad Ali, he's from Pakistan, right? Safarzadeh, who's an Iranian lady, right? Sarwar, who is a sheikh in New York. Sayyid Rizvi, all of us know, right? Maulana here, right? All of them, without exception, all of them say it is my relatives, you can see. Say, I do not ask for you any reward for this except love of my relatives, right? Mine into bracket, you see. Mir Ahmad Ali says, oh, say thou, I demand not of you any recompense for it. He also mentions what is it, the toils of the apostleship, save the love of my relatives, right? Safarzadeh says, oh messenger, no wage I ask you for my mission, that is messenger's reward is with Allah, but all I expect is the affection to my near kin. Now she has not put mine into bracket, but she has put the mine there, right? Near kin. Sarwar also says, right, that my near relative, right? So Maulana Rizvi also explains, says, oh Muhammad, say to your followers, I do not ask of you any reward for it, that is the task of conveying Allah's message to you, except love of my near relative. You see? And Maulana also has taken care of the word Qurba. He doesn't say relative, he says what? Near relatives. Do you see? As we said earlier, that Qurba and Arham can be relative. But Qurba are those who are so near that they also in character, they are like you, So, my relative. So do you see this thing? And this is a test, because sometimes people come to us and say, what difference does it make? Translation to translation, whether it is by a Shia or Sunni, look at this, right? This is not even tafsir. This is just a translation. But how people can be misled. And that's why I was wondering that last year when I invited the Imams of the Muslim, when they are talking of unity, that come to Jafari Center not for anything. We are just mourning the shahadat of Imam Husayn, the tragedy of Karbala. Join us, And there was a reaction to that, right? They just did not like it until one of them said that, no, what is this that you are bringing this kind of objection? After all, these are the relatives of the Prophet, and they are mourning them, right? But where do this kind of thing comes? Do you see this thing? Because they've been raised all the time with this kind of, worldview and a point of view that no, this al-Qurba is just between yourself, or Qurba, what that means, people of Quraysh, or Qurba of the Prophet, that they were told. No. Actually, we believe, and you'll see inshallah as we continue, and I'll try to finish inshallah within time. See, loving hadiths on Ahlul Bayt, right? It's so important. There are so many hadiths, but because of time, we'll just take 3 hadiths, how important it is. The Prophet, Hazrat Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is found in Uyun Akhbar Rida. Uyun Akhbar Rida is a 2-volume book which collects every saying of Imam Rida, everything. And fortunately, it is available in translation and also online, right? Imam is quoting the Prophet saying, "Awwalu ma yusalu al-abdu hubbuna ahlul bayt." The first thing which a servant will be asked on the Day of Judgment is the love of the Ahlul Bayt, love of the Ahlul Bayt. Do you see? The love of Ahlul Bayt is so important. So, brothers and sisters, sometimes we have this concept, moti khushali che, nani khushali che, moti wafat che. This is no. The love of Ahlul Bayt, whether it is a big khushali, small khushali, no, we have to participate, right? Because you can see, Prophet says, "Awwalu ma yusalu al-anhu al-abdu." The first thing a servant is going to ask is the love of Ahlul Bayt, right? Another hadith from, I think it's 61 says, "Idha kana yawm al-qiyamah, lam tazal qadama abdin hatta yusalu an arba," right? On the Day of Judgment, a person will not be able to even take his footsteps ahead. He cannot even move ahead. He cannot take his step ahead, except that he will be asked for 4 things, about 4 things. He'll be asked, right? First is what? An umrin fima afnahu. How did you spend your life? Mu'mineen, life is a trust given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't waste it. I sometimes am so surprised, with due respect to my elders, sometimes they say, we cannot pass our time. Boring luggage, because we have no work. No, there are so many things to do, right, in life. Don't say, no. So you can see, how did you pass your life? You'll be asked, right? On shababi fima ablaw. Youths, your time is so important. You are young, you're energetic, you've got access to all the kind of what today, literature, everything, right? There is so much you can do for yourself, for your family, for your religion, for the community. So there is so much, right? So the youths, you are going to ask, how did you pass your time, right? وَمَا اكْتَسَبُوا مِنْ أَيْنَ اكْتَسَبَهُ وَفِيمَا أَنْفَقُوا, right? And we are going to be asked that, how did you earn your living, right? How did you earn your living, and how did you spend, right? And how did you, for example, give in the way of Allah? So we'll be asked about also our earning and how we spend, right? That how did we get an earn? وَأَنْ حُبُّنَا عَلَى الْبَيْتِ. And the last thing is that we will be asked about our love of Ahlul Bayt. On the Day of Judgment, we can just not move forward except that we explain to the questioner, how did I love Ahlul Bayt? Do you see this thing? It's an important. This is only second hadith. As I told you, there are many hadiths, but we have just taken 3 hadiths. Again, for the Prophet says, "Addabu awladukum," subhanallah. This hadith I'm quoting from a Sunni source. Kanzul Ummal is a Sunni book of hadith, right? It says, Rasulullah says, "Addabu awladukum ala thalathil khisal." Make sure that you instill 3 kind of specialties, 3 kind of characteristics in your children. What are those? Hubbu nabiyukum, love of your Prophet. Wa hubbu ahli bayti, and the love of the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet. Okay, Sunni hadith is saying, instill in your children the love of the Prophet, the love of his Ahlul Bayt, right? Wa qira'at al-Quran, mu'mineen, and the reading of the Quran. So often, I'm sure Shaykh Jafar and so many speakers have mentioned about the importance of that. Mu'mineen, let us not sleep without reading Quran. And the hadith says, a person who does not read at least 10 ayat of Quran, then he's a heedless. If you don't want to be amongst ghafilin, heedless, don't miss out reading at least 10 ayat of Quran every day. Although mustab is recite 40 or 50 hadiths, 50 ayat, but 10 ayat if you recite, at least you won't be heedless, right? So, and we'll be asked about qira'atul Quran, right? فَإِنَّ حَمَلَةُ الْقُرْآنِ فِي ظِلِّ اللَّهِ. The one who's going to read the Quran is under the shadow of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. On the day when there is no shadow other than the shadow of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مَا أَنْبِيَاءِ وَأَصْفِيَاءِ, right? He'll be amongst the prophets of Allah and the chosen people of Allah just because of reading Quran. So these are only 3 hadiths. I can share with you many hadiths, mu'mineen, regarding the importance of love Ahlul Bayt. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Before we close our discussion, one day I was sitting amongst the peoples. There was a very good discussion. They said that so many books and articles are written regarding the problems which people face. Very few of them talk about the solutions. So, okay, we have talked about the importance of loving Ahlul Bayt. The question comes, how do we do practically? What are the points, right? So again, only for the benefit, because of time, we'll just give you 5 points. First of all is obey Allah's command. The 6th Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, has a clear hadith, right? He says, he who obeys Allah's commands is our devotee, is our Shia, right? He who disobeys his command is our enemy. So the command of Allah comes everything, right? Namaz, zakat, homes, hajj, fasting, everything, right? So obey Allah's command. Study the lives of Ahlul Bayt with the intention of following them. Don't just read a book like a novel, no. Read the life of the Imam with the intention that what can I take from that, start implementing it. So intention of following, right? In fact, this ayat in Quran, Allah says, people came to the Prophet and said, we like to love Allah. Now, Allah is not a body that you can, for example, embrace Allah, or you can, for example, kiss his cheek, right? So how do you love Allah? So Allah revealed the ayat. He says, Kul, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah, fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah. Oh Prophet, they will come to you, right? They want to love Allah. Tell them, if you want to love Allah, then follow me. That means follow the Prophet. Yuhibbukum Allah. Allah in return is going to love you. Do you see this thing? So to love the Ahlul Bayt is to follow them. See, so learn about them, then to follow them. Number 3, celebrate their happiness and commemorate their grief and their difficulty, as we are doing today, right? It is the 10th of the Imam Shuhada. We are doing this thing. This is part of the love that we are showing. That when there's a difficulty in their home and there's grief, we also participate, right? 4, work on introducing the great examples, morals and teachings with other Muslims and non-Muslims. Mu'mineen is very important. We used to have this Husayn Day concept, right? I don't know if it still exists. It's very important. Let non-Muslims and Sunni brothers know what we are doing, who Husayn is, right? It's very important. We have such a wonderful example and such a great, this event about Karbala that we can attract so many people. But it's important that we try to, introduce these things to them. Finally, ready ourselves for the appearance of the Imam al-Mahdi in our lifetime. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Mu'mineen, this will inshallah take us to the Gham Bayan. Just you can see the same ayat, right? Subhanallah. May our life be sacrificed for the Ahlul Bayt, In such a difficult situation, right? All of us know what the Ahlul Bayt went through in Karbala, then in Kufa, then in Sham, then in the prisons of Kufa and Sham. See here, in Sham, as somebody comes to the, and subhanallah, mu'mineen, this is, I'm quoting from a Sunni source, from a Sunni source. Durr Mansur Suyuti is a Sunni source. Even Allama Tabatabai has mentioned him a lot in Mizan, right? He says, when Ali ibn al-Husayn was captured and held at the gate of Damascus in Sham, a certain man from Sham, a Shami, came to him and said, God bless that he killed and eradicated you, right? He's trying to say that, blessing of Allah be that he has got rid of you and your father and what happened, right? That's what he said. Now see what Imam says, subhanallah, mu'mineen. This is Imam who is in chain, whose hands are tied, right? Who has walked all the way from Karbala to Kufa and Sham, right? Who has been in a prison, who has experienced the massacre of his family, the death of his father, right? All those things. But even at this time, you can see his composure, right? He says, have you read the Quran? Oh, Shaykh, have you read the Quran? He said, of course I read the Quran. He said, have you read the surah of Hameen? He said, yes, I've read. He said, have you read this thing, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. He said, yes, indeed I read. So he said that the men asked, are you the ones referred in this verse? Imam said, indeed we are. But do you see this thing? Subhanallah, even after all these years and after all this situation, Imam is making such a great, ihsan on us, clarifying, not for only for all the Muslims to come, that who is Qurba. Imam is clarifying them that we are the Qurba. And Sunni scholar, just Google who Suyuti was. He was a master, he has authored 900 books, Suyuti. Has authored 900 books, you can imagine. He has quoted this incident of Imam al-Sajjad, that he clarified who al-Qurba were, right? Mu'mineen, it is the 10th of Shuhada. It's not only 10th of Imam Husayn or 10th of Ali Akbar, 10th of Ali Askar. It is 10th of Shuhada of Karbala. What can I discuss about? Every time when I just look at the events and think of what to discuss, I just could not believe how merciless these people were. How could they deny water, simple thing as water, to the Ahlul Bayt, right? Janab Abbas alayhi salam, when finally he asked Imam a number of times, Mawla, just give me permission that I go and fight. And Mawla would always say, oh, Abbas, you are the commander of my army. Oh Abbas, Anta Alam Askari. Oh Abbas, you are the zinat of my army. And one day, at one time, Abbas said to Mawla, Mawla, oh my Aka, my master, where is the Lashkar? Where is the army now? There is no menfolk that I am the commander. But I would say to Abbas, oh Abbas, you are just looking at menfolk. But Imam Husayn's sight is further than that. He's looking at the children and he's looking at the women, that they are all at peace as long Abbas is there, right? But when finally Abbas gets to the waterfront, right? At that particular time, you'll be surprised, he's saying to Shimar one thing. He says, oh Shimar, are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed that the water of Rifrat is flowing like this, right? And the children of Husayn are dying of thirst. Azadan Husayn, you know what he said? I just have to say in Masaib, otherwise it's not worth repeating this thing. This Mal'un, this person, he says to Abbas, oh Abbas, if the whole world would be water, filled with water, even then we are going to deny the water to Husayn. Right? And this has been captured so well in the Urdu Shairi. Hakim ka hukm ye hai ke pani bashar piye. Hakim ka hukm ye hai ke pani bashar piye. Gode piye, sawar piye, aur shutar piye. जो तिश्न लब जहाँ में हो सब आन कर पिए, हयवां पिए, चरिंद पिए, जानवर पिए, काफिर तलक पिए तो न तुम मन कीजियो, काफिर तलक पिए तो न तुम मन कीजियो, एक फातिमा के लाल को पानी न दीजिए. Saddam Hussein, how much merciless they were, that even the Christians and the Jews and the disbelievers and the animals can drink water, but deny Hussein with the water. And that is why Janab Sakina herself, she is the narrator, she says a time came that there was no water left in our tent. There was no water left in Mashkiza. So Janab Sakina says, I went from one tent to another tent asking, can I have some water? Can you imagine Janab Sakina? Who is Sakina? Hussein's daughter. Who is Sakina? She is the granddaughter of Sakia, Qasr Imam Ali al-Islam. She is going from one tent to another tent and she is asking, is there some water? This is still 9th of Muharram and she is asking for water, Zadar and Hussein. And she says she could not get water. Finally, she says, I know there is one tent. If I go there, I will not be denied. And that is my Aunt Zainab. Let me go to my Aunt Zainab. She will definitely give me whatever she has. And she says, as I reached near the tent of my Aunt Janab Zainab and said, oh, Aunt Sakina has come. And Janab Zainab could not even see her, could not recognize her. At that time, she says, oh, my aunt, every time I used to come, you would just welcome me. What is happening that you are not coming? Janab Zainab says, don't you see who is in my hand? Oh, Sakina, your brother Askar is in my hand. And see, he's just dying of thirst. And I'm just trying to quieten him. Janab Sakina says, when I saw the condition of my brother Ali Askar, I did not ask for water from my aunt. Allah ta'alakum zalimina inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Matam Husayn.